Hello, this is MVJ, your inner strength relationship and individual coach and licensed marriage and family therapist, using Western psychology along with African philosophy to help you to live life more abundantly. I would like to thank everyone for tuning in once again to this radio blog show. We have a great subject in our hands today. We're going to talk a little bit about the issue of compatibility. Okay, this was a question that one of our listeners brought in, and the question is, as an issue of compatibility compared to a relationship that just needs work, what can we do about that? An issue of compatibility compared to a relationship that just needs work. Okay, so what we're going to talk about today is 3 ways of knowing if you are expecting too much from a partner or if you two are truly compatible. Number 1, so let's begin this. Number 1, what are your expectations and being clear on what you want? So before you can ask of someone else, and have these expectations of the other person, you have to be clear on what you want. Okay. So number 1 is, what are your expectations, and having some clarity on what you want and what you desire. And see, this is largely shaped by the way that we were raised. So when we look back at our own particular family culture and some of the rituals that we've had when we were coming up and growing in that particular household, what are some of the things that we are accustomed to? Just for a moment, I would like for you to visualize yourself when you were younger and how the holiday season would influence you. Think about the sights, think about the colors, think about the sounds, think about the smell. You may envision yourself sitting in the living room and there may be someone cooking in the kitchen. It could be your mother, it could be your father, or it could be another relative. Think of the sounds of the kids opening presents. Think of the dog barking, the game that might be on television. All of those memories that you have of the holiday season. And perhaps you didn't have these great experiences. Maybe yours was the total opposite of that. However, I want you to have this vision in your mind. And then I want you to connect with the emotion that's involved with this visualization of your past. Now, as you're coming out of this vision and as you're pondering it, this is something that I want you to think of, is that those memories of you when you were younger and those rituals that you've had, maybe it was prayer at the table, maybe it wasn't. But all of those experiences directly influence the way that you behave today, and the thoughts and the ideas that you have going into a relationship with someone. And those are some of the things that cannot be divorced from us, because it's part of our personality, it's part of our character, it's part of our memory, it's part of our psyche. And some of the things that we want to suppress are some of the things that tend to come up in the relationship, because those holiday seasons may have not been as pleasant, or they could have been very, very pleasant. But then we bring into the relationship an expectation of some of those experiences that we've had. or the avoidance of some of those experiences that we've had. What was work like in the family? Who brought home the bacon, so to speak? Who wore the pants in the family? Was it a joint effort, or was the male involved, or was it more of a matriarchy where the female was largely in charge of different things? Those type of issues are very important when we're looking at expectations going into a relationship. The other thing that we want to try to remember is, and I kind of touched on this a little bit, of traditional roles versus modern roles. This can be kind of a touchy subject when we're looking at relationships, because some people have more traditional views, whereas we get into more gender role type of issues, where there's a certain expectation of the male and there's a certain expectation of the female. And this, of course, it has changed throughout the years, but a lot of people have the same, belief systems or traditional belief systems that govern the relationship. And these are really important to be truthful about going into the relationship or maintaining that relationship. Okay, the other thing that we have to understand, so number one, what are your expectations, and having clarity on what you want? Largely, it's shaped by the way that we were raised and what we grew up listening to, or the beliefs that we've had within the family. Number two is your personal beliefs and your worldviews. Now, this is your philosophy on certain subjects that tend to stand true to you. This is our personal beliefs about the self and our political worldviews, our religious views, our spirituality, thoughts, and this is how we behave ourselves in the world that we live in. This is how we navigate through the world with these different types of thought patterns. Do we share those type of beliefs with the person that we're with? Okay. Or is it the case where your worldviews are a lot more different than the worldviews of the person that you are involved with? Now, do you forsake your personal beliefs and worldviews for the sake of the relationship? It's a greater question to ask yourself. A lot of people tend to exist in this untruth. It's kind of a false truth about the relationship when we are not being totally honest about our own personal beliefs and worldviews, whereas we are trying to save the feelings or to avoid an argument with the person that we're with. But on those particular levels, there is no compatibility, right? In your mind, you're thinking that we're not compatible as far as the worldviews are concerned. Now, can that be worked through? So the answer to that question is yes, it can be. But it takes someone that is willing to have a healthy compromise, not compromising who they are as a person, but being willing and open to the idea that someone has in that relationship has a different worldview, a different way of seeing certain things. But when we are dogmatic about certain subject matters, and when we refuse to budge on it, or even worse, to listen to the other person, then that's what causes significant problems, even the collapse of that relationship, because of the idea of not being moved. Right, you're standing your ground no matter what. Okay, so for political beliefs, for instance, do you have beliefs where you are leaning more toward Democratic beliefs, or is it more Republican? Is it nonpartisan? Is it independent? All those different types of things really shape the way that we are, who we are, and in terms of the relationship and the other person that we're with. They could be leaning to the left, and you could be leaning more to the right. And these things can cause some issues, especially when we're so polarized in this country right now. Number two, do you believe in the afterlife? Do you believe in life after death? And this is something else that goes into your spiritual beliefs, how you were raised, or maybe some self discoveries that you found as you got older, or that you found when you were on a different type of adventure in your life. Maybe some life circumstance happened where now you believe a little bit different. It could be where you're more quote unquote enlightened, and then you have these spiritual beliefs, and this has changed the nature of the relationship, whereas you didn't have them before. Those things are very important when you're looking at compatibility, and if you're expecting now your partner to have the same beliefs that you have, because your eyes see things a lot differently. What are your thoughts about love? Okay, what does love look like for you? So a lot of people, especially now, have varying beliefs about love and what that means. Some people don't believe that love, they don't believe the same way that love traditionally is believed in the past. For instance, some people believe that love should not have the ups and downs, or should be more easy going. Nothing happens within the relationship. There is no issues of communication, and I've counseled a lot of people who have those different types of beliefs. Some people believe that love has conditions. There's conditions involved in it, and there's limitations, and there's certain things that you will not tolerate within that relationship, even though you love this person. But if that is violated in any way, there is no forgiveness or coming back from it. And so therefore you choose to move forward with your life. And then you can emotionally cut this person off from you if those violations happen. And then there's other people that believe in the value of forgiveness. And if they're looking at forgiving the other person and then moving forward in the relationship, and even though these things, the damage that's been done in the relationship, there's still movement forward, and there's still an opportunity to recoup that, what was been lost or taken away from, to repair the energy that's been damaged within the relationship. Some people believe that those things are very true. But in the fast-paced society that we live in now, most people, when things don't quite go the way that they expect it to go, or if that belief about love is violated in any way, then they call it quits. And what's worse, if they call it quits while they're still in the relationship without communicating that to the partner. And then the partner can become, or the person that's emotionally detached becomes more distant and more unavailable. And this causes more and more confusion, frustration, and irritability and resentment within the relationship. Those are very important things to be very honest with, because if we're not honest with those particular issues that happen within the relationship, it can go on for years, and then you're in what we call a loveless relationship, or one that is unauthentic or untruthful. Okay, this is underneath the whole subject of your worldviews, right? Okay, so the third we want to look at is your own personal needs, and this is number 3, your own personal needs. So when we're looking at your needs, and this goes back to the other subjects that we talked about, because all of this kind of ties in with each other. Your needs are governed by your own beliefs and your own thoughts, and it is governed by your actions and your behaviors that as a result of your beliefs and your thoughts. And these are shaped a lot by both the way that we were raised, again, and also about the way that we view the world and how the world then affects us. Okay, the environment in itself. So there are certain psychosocial issues that come into place. There are certain medical issues that may come into place that change the way that we believe about our own selves and the person that we're with. These are things that we don't have any control over. This is what we call life. You know, the things that we can't control. There's nothing that I can do about a hurricane that may come and, you know, take away the house that I'm in, or a tornado or anything like that. But it's how I then begin to put the pieces back together and to rebuild. And this is begins to shape the way that I believe about my own self and the world, and my own resilience that happens when the hard times do come. Job loss, injury, death in the family, all kinds of other emotional issues that may come into place, like such as depression or anxiety. Someone may figure out or find out that they're, you know, possibly bipolar, you know, having issues with brain chemistry that comes on later on in the life, right? So all those things really shape the way that we view ourselves and review the world and how we navigate through the world, right? So these are part of our personal needs, you know, that is shaped by the environment, you know, the psychosocial, again, issues, and also the medical issues that may come into place. More importantly, just the way that what life brings to us. We have certain needs in each of these phases, and how we communicate these needs in these phases is very important. All right, that's going to do it for us today. This is MVJ, your inner strength relationship and individual coach, licensed marriage and family therapist, using Western psychology and African philosophy to help you to live life more abundantly. If you'd like to schedule time with me, you can go onto my website at www.montrieljamari.com. That's MONTRIELJAMARI.com. And you can schedule a time with me. Also, you can call me at 1-800-895-6926 for your free 15-minute consultation to see if we are a good fit. That's 1-800-895-6926. If you know someone that is willing to listen and willing to take in all of the great information on this radio broadcast, go ahead and share it. It's part of that Uhusani Watu. The big village, the greater good. Until we meet next time, my friend, be good and be well.